Hey, greetings, everyone. I'm Steve Clemons. I'm editor-at-large of the National Interest, and we have a great opportunity today to have a conversation with really one of the leading thinkers and doers in Congress when it comes to smart energy policy. And he happens to come from one of the most important districts in America when it comes to energy, and that's Midland, Texas. And we're talking about August Pfluger, who's from Texas, and he's on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. And I've had the pleasure of having conversations with him before. So, August, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, today we're talking in Dallas, so we're in the right state, different part of your state, on what are the component pieces that are required to make America the superpower it deserves to be when it comes to AI, when it comes to making AI real, and all the elements of it. And one of the key elements of it are data centers, utilities, power, and thinking differently about this. So I'd love to kind of hear how this fits on your radar screen of significance, and what are the missing pieces from your perspective as an energy legislator in providing this new platform in the AI world.
Well, it's great to be with you. What a great discussion, and I think it's appropriate that this is happening in Dallas. It's obviously the Metroplex and quite frankly, all of Texas will play a really important role in hosting these data centers, these AI centers, these any kind of center that requires energy and electricity should look at Texas. We just have the resources. So I would say first and foremost, probably the most important thing and the thing that we are thinking about in Congress is how do we quickly move towards expanding the supply of electricity. I mean, it's just plain and simple. We already see demand increasing past what capacity can really do in many areas. The reason these centers are coming to Texas is because we are resource rich when it comes to the ability to produce electricity. But we want that right mixture. We want it to be reliable. It has to be affordable, or these centers will go other places. Think China. So this is a national security level conversation. We want to compete. We want to host them here. We want that to, be built up in the United States of America. And it comes down to providing affordable, reliable energy. And really, Texas just does it better. So I
You
love
and I have
the
talked about the
conversation.
profile of energy. In Midland, I was, so surprised by how many people from your utilities, get wind. They have other options. You're sort of in this, and you're the kind of oil and gas giant. So it's not a one or the other. But when I kind of look at the AI data center package, which is driving, energy need up a lot, I hear that just in a really short period of time, we're going to have to double what we need to do. Doubling anything when America is already a robust energy supplier. So as you kind of look at these mix of energy supplies and sources, and also working with utilities, how do you help the utilities succeed in providing that electrification that we need?
Well, ERCOT does think that we're going to go from 75, 85 gigawatts to 150 in the next 5 years. So yeah, I mean, this is a
Wow.
huge leap in demand. And you're right. You mentioned wind. Okay, well, we know that you need baseload power, and that baseload in the state of Texas primarily comes from natural gas, supplied also by some nuclear. But during the day when these data centers are running, wind does play an important role. And overall, wind is about 25% of the mixture, the composition of supply to the ERCOT grid. But we're going to have to expand all of it. And I think, a lot of this is going to come from expanded natural gas opportunities.
Mm.
But that's where the grid folks that are trying to figure out how to get to residential needs, how to get to the business and manufacturing needs, how to get to the data centers are going to, build this puzzle out. And the truth is, we need every type of electron coming in, but I will advocate right now for natural gas and nuclear kind of as that really
Mm.
strong foundational baseload piece, supplied also and supplemented also by other sources like wind.
I think that another thing we're wrestling with today in the discussions we're having is kind of getting beyond this deterministic thing that, oh, AI is good for everybody. AI is just going to come. I mean, the AI era, I think, is coming, and it has been defined as a major geostrategic point of competition for American power vis-a-vis other powers. But do you think we've done a good enough job explaining why it's so important to Americans and why these big investments in next generation energy, in AI makes so much sense and matters to them?
No, I don't. And, I think this is something that we're going to have to, wrap our heads around. But every sector, every industry, every imaginable use, military to, any technology sector to just think about hospitals. And I mean, anything you're doing, farming even, is going to be amplified with AI. So, I hope the government, stays out of the business of telling industry what they're going to do. I hope what the government can do is smartly put left and right boundaries on there so that we still innovate. We can still tell, the story about it. And we can lay the groundwork for what industry, private industry can do, which is to capitalize on innovation and to use it to help our country. I mean, that's the bottom line is we do need to tell a story. But I think the role in government is limited and just it really provides that foundation with some left and right boundaries that are reasonable, not like what Europe has done.
Look, I mean, we're talking Republicans, we're talking Democrats. This is not a, in my book, a partisan issue, but I want to remind people you are a very powerful Republican in the House. You're chairman of the Republican Policy Committee. And, as I look at the other people I've known it, you really have this interesting role in helping, to smarten up your caucus, help, kind of help lay out not just an agenda, but, kind of build literacy on a lot of other levels. How big a lift is the AI and power lift for you among your own caucus? Is there an understanding about this already being a vital deal, or do you have to do you need to see more advocacy and education among the people you're working with in Congress?
But great point. The organization that I'm chairman of is 189 Republicans from all over the country, every walk of life, every background, in two parts. Number one, on the energy part, we are educating our colleagues on the need for more energy. That also involves
Mm,
really advocating for permitting reform so that we can build the transmission lines, we can build the
right.
infrastructure that's needed. So that's the first part to then supply the electricity and the energy needs to those data centers. And we've got an expert in the House, a gentleman from California, Jay Obernolte, and he knows AI.
Mm,
He did it his entire career. So it's pretty rare to have a true expert. And I've actually brought him in to educate our members, our
mm.
189 members, and to really push leadership, to push the Speaker of the House to move legislation that allows us to compete with China. And that's what this is all about. We want to compete. We want to be first. We want to, harness the competitive advantage that the United States has, which is innovation. And
Mm.
we're not there yet, but I am using the platform as being chairman of the Republican Study Committee to do just that. We do have some work to do, but we're moving in the right direction.
Let me ask you just finally, Congressman. I always have this view of policy. I try to explain to people outside Washington who don't understand this place that either, progress or consensus or just the way things are going will take us to a place, and I call that kind of political gravity. But if it were easy, you wouldn't do this. So the question is, are there hard choices? Could America screw this up? Like I'm very interested in the fact that I'm looking at the power of what might be around the corner with all of this. But I just always wonder, what could we do to screw it up? So I'm just interested in whether you worry about that as well. And are there hard choices that we have to make as a nation or in the state of Texas, to begin understanding the key importance of this industry and make sure that we pave some of the things you talked about? Because there could be choices of people who see it the other way. Could we find ourselves now lagging in the AI race and behind others because of smarter decisions they made?
Well, I was a fighter pilot. I flew the
Mm,
F-22. That was my professional career. So the best weapon system ever designed, ever built in the history of the Earth. But it was built on innovation. So let me break it up into the same two categories: AI as a utility and as something we're going to use in every
mm,
sector, and then energy. I'll start with AI. Yes, we can screw it up. And I
mm,
alluded to this, but Europe has overregulated AI. They have regulated the innovation out of it so that it's not as useful for hospitals, for the any tech industry, for anything, anybody that wants to use it. They've regulated it too heavily. We can screw it up if we go that direction.
mm.
Secondly, if the federal government doesn't do something, you're going to have 50 different state laws, which is just as chaotic and just as harmful. So we need to have the just right approach at the federal level that lays the
Mm,
groundwork for some rules, but isn't too heavy handed. Secondly, on energy, like I'll make a little bit of a partisan dig at the previous administration. They
Mm,
were headed down the wrong path on energy because they were picking winners and losers. Just let energy sources compete.
mm,
And that really is our approach right now is let's unleash American energy, specifically in my district, that is the oil and gas industry, but it's also wind. It's also in places like the Northwest Pacific, uh, Oregon and Washington, it could be hydropower. So let's unleash American energy in any form that works, that is inexpensive and reliable. And if you pair those two things together, we will win this AI race because we'll have the electricity needed and the innovation required to compete with China. And that's what it's all about.
Well, Congressman August Pfluger, we're doing this in Dallas today. My late mom was from Dallas. I love Dallas. My grandparents are there. So yes, I love Dallas, but I want to do this someday in Midland. So we have to do a deal. We do this conversation live there one day, if you would like to.
That would be great. Love Dallas, love the Metroplex. Tons of innovation going on there. So, hi to everybody, and thanks for letting me join you.
August, thank you so much. We'll see you again in soon around this town in DC. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.